The movie ended with a silent scene which spoke volumes. The Passion of the Christ had followed the last days of Jesus' life. It was hard not to be emotionally drained through the story of betrayal, trials, crucifixion, death, and burial. In fact, some people seem ready to leave the theater already, but the scene I was waiting for was still to come, even though Jesus had said the words, "It is finished." I wondered how they would handle that final scene. In my mind, it was possibly the most important scene of the entire movie. I was on the edge of my seat as I was watching the inside of a tomb, complete with a body wrapped in strips of cloth. And then all of a sudden, the cloth collapsed as if someone had let the air out of a balloon. I almost jumped from my seat, but the filmmaker had one more last unspoken word as we saw the character of Jesus, a few moments ago dead, now alive and walking across the tomb and out of the scene. Most people who call themselves Christ followers know the facts about Jesus' life. They're in the Bible. His life has been the subject of so many books and movies and speeches and sermons. We don't need to go there now. For us today, the significance lies not in all of those facts, but in that last scene and the historical days that followed it. It's clear that Jesus was the one Simeon had blessed as the light for the nations. He was the one foretold by the prophets as the coming Savior. He was the one of Abraham's offspring through whom all the world would be blessed. He was the one who would reveal the personal character of God to individuals, to families, to nations, to the world. Revealing the nature of God and providing salvation for all people, that was not the final act of God's plan. There was more to come. Throughout history, God's people had been given a continuing responsibility to take that relationship that they had with the Almighty and pass it on to others. Now it was even more important to make sure this message went beyond ethnic pride and national boundaries. For several weeks after his resurrection, Jesus stayed on earth with his followers. He helped them understand what had happened. He helped them see how all of this fit into what they already knew from the scriptures. Then he gave them an assignment. In Matthew chapter 28, Jesus explained what he wanted them to do as their goal. He wanted them to make disciples. That is, all Christ followers have a responsibility to actively pass their faith to others. Then to help those others enter into a personal relationship with God, help them to grow to the point where they can repeat the process by sharing their own faith. This dovetails into the final words of Jesus in Acts chapter 2, where he brings his disciples together, his followers, on one place just before he leaves this earth. And he tells them their responsibility is to be witnesses throughout the world. Jesus' followers, from those first disciples to us today, have a special relationship with God. We share this command to actively tell others about what happened to us so that they can have the same relationship. We have the command, no, we have the privilege to carry this message to all the world, to all nations, to the ends of the earth. Then we have the joy of seeing these people come to know Christ as we do. The joy of seeing churches established to follow in his way. To see those churches reproducing the process as they reach out to bring others to know the same Christ. If God's plan were a movie, that final scene would be beyond our expectations.